ADAS. When we think about an acronym, we're probably thinking about boards such as this one, but it is so much more. It's a group of safety systems built into today's cars to ensure that they are safer on the roads and therefore less prone to accidents. But how important is it for the aftermarket to understand ADAS? With millions more cars hitting the roads with these safety systems and European regulations dictating more systems are involved on board, garages need to understand the technology sooner rather than later, because very soon these cars are going to hit the used car market and are going to be coming in to independent garages. And if you're working on them and do not calibrate the ADAS system correctly, there could be issues for the driver and for the business as well. But ADAS is an opportunity to learn and an opportunity to talk to customers, educate them, and make sure that they stay safe on the roads. ADAS is becoming more prevalent in today's cars, and it's going to increase with new regulations in Europe which will drag through to the UK, bringing more technology than ever. From simple systems such as anti-lock brakes through to intelligent speeder systems and adaptive cruise control, there are more complex programs being added to vehicles today. So what do garages need to know when it comes to ADAS?
To a lot of garages and body repairers and fast fit centres are still seen as new technology. We're looking now for around about 70% of the new cars on the market now have an ADAS fitted to it. So yeah, I mean, these cars have been fitted with ADAS sensors since mainstream cars since 2013. So this isn't new technology. What is happening now, it's starting to filter into the aftermarket a lot more. So it's not going to go away. So yeah, get ready for it. These systems on cars are there designed to help you brake in an emergency, keep you in a light line. So these are critical safety systems. So understanding how they work and what influences these systems, I think, is critical. So that's why us as the A1 ADAS group make sure that we educate a lot of people on what they're there for and what they're to do. It's no different to any other system on a car. Once you understand how it works, the principles of it, then it's a pretty straightforward system to work on, but make sure you get properly trained on it, go to a proper reputable trainer who understands ADAS themselves, and then if you're looking at investing in your own equipment, make sure you buy it from somebody who actually understands it as well. There's two routes to how to handle the ADAS market. You can either invest in equipment yourself, and you can make sure you're adequately covered to handle it. I would say that buying the right equipment is quite important because there's various different things out in the market, but other than that, yes, it's also teaming up with a mobile provider, say, who can actually offer the same service and come to you in your workshop. So there's definitely different routes you can take to making sure that you're covered for your ADAS needs.
If you choose to do ADAS in-house, you will need a lot of equipment to be able to calibrate vehicles. So there will be an initial payout. But what can garages expect in terms of return on investment for all that equipment compared to the work that they will be conducting?
I think in terms of revenue generation, there's a great opportunity for people. People look at it and think it's a relatively expensive initial outlay, maybe sort of 20,000, 25,000, something like that. But if you look at it in terms of the payback time, if you're doing, say, 3 calibrations per week, and on average, with the recommended price out as recommended by the APB, the body shop professionals, is actually £300 per calibration. If you follow that and you do 3 calibrations per week, then you've paid back inside 6 months, well inside 6 months. And I think there are not that many people that have the capability to carry out calibrations at the moment. So what we see quite a lot is that once people have got the ability, they're actually advertising their capability on calibrations to other garages, and they get a lot of work referred into them. So actually the amount of calibration they do per week is not just the service jobs going through their garages, it's also the service jobs going through locally with their other local garages.
But there is currently a skills shortage when it comes to ADAS trained technicians, and that is a problem. As the automotive industry moves towards more and more autonomous driving through SAE level 1 to level 5, more of these cars are going to be developed with even more sensors. And therefore, if you cannot calibrate ADAS, you may not be able to work on the vehicle itself.
ADAS has the ability to greatly improve road safety, but also, if not properly maintained, it has the ability to greatly reduce it. So if you can imagine a lane assist or emergency braking failing at high speed, it's going to be catastrophic. So from a technical point of view, there is a dire need for us to upskill the industry, but also from another point of view, from the other touch points that consumers have. So the general awareness in the industry across all occupations is very, very low. So whilst we are in need and in demand of technical training, we actually need to dramatically increase the awareness with all other occupations in the automotive industry. What we're seeing is, as the number of vehicles with ADAS technologies on them, as the number of those are increasing, the skills gap is actually getting larger. So we're not keeping up with the need and the demand for training technicians at the same pace of speed as we're seeing the newer vehicles. The reason that the skills gap probably hasn't kept up is it could be that people are just used to these being part of their daily life, and it isn't as easy to spot vehicles with ADAS as it is, for example, electric vehicles, which come with a lot of stigma around repairing them. So the IMI have qualifications and accreditations. So we already have qualifications at level 1, 2, and 3, which cover basic awareness at level 1, removal and replacement of components at level 2, and calibration at level 3. So they're very much aimed, the level 2 and the level 3, at the technical side. The level 1 awareness is for absolutely anybody. We also have technical accreditations in ADAS calibration, so that enables people in the industry to continue to demonstrate their professionalism and their skill.
So when it comes to ADAS calibration, just how important is it for workshops to make sure that they're doing this at every opportunity they need to, and that it is performed correctly to ensure that a vehicle remains safe on the road?
So when a car's had some kind of repair work done to it, and that could be repair works which doesn't necessarily directly influence that sensor, it's really, really critical. So for instance, we see a lot of cars having geometry changes, suspension parts replaced. Although that's not affecting the ADAS sensor maybe at the front of a car, it bears an influence on how that vehicle reacts should it have to brake in an emergency and stuff. So it's really critical.
I think for the independent garage today, they're not always aware of those systems. They're not always aware of the jobs that lead to those systems having to be calibrated. I guess example of that, if you're carrying out a wheel alignment that affects the geometry of the vehicle, then you should always carry out ADAS calibration after that. If you're fitting steering related parts, then again, the calibration should be carried out after that. So it's making the independent garage aware of that capability, and also giving them the knowledge to give that detail onto their customers so they can explain why an ADAS calibration needs to be included as part of that service.
So there we have it. ADAS is here to stay. In fact, as car makers move to more autonomous vehicles, we're going to see an increase in the number of sensors built into cars like this. And if the independent aftermarket isn't ready, we could lose these cars to the franchise dealer network, where their technicians are being trained almost weekly. By 2030, we are going to need thousands more ADAS qualified technicians in garages. And if we don't, we could miss out on opportunities that these vehicles bring when they come in for repair. If you can't calibrate ADAS, you won't be able to service the car. But there are solutions available through training networks and other providers who are able to come in and work on those ADAS vehicles for you. The thing is, you need to be ahead of the game, plan your strategy, and above all else, realise ADAS is here to stay.